All right, so today we have Falcons beat reporter for ESPN, Marc Raimondi. He is also the author of Say Hello to the Bad Guys, a book on how the New World Order changed America, which I think is very cool. Mark, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for the intro. You came prepared and everything, Laura. I'm
I,
very
I, I wrote down a little note to make sure that I knew
appreciate
what the subtitle of the book was.
that. I know you're not a big professional wrestling fan, so I appreciate the shout.
I actually, so I'm not right now, but just because I don't have time, but I grew
Do
up,
you intend to be in the future? Is that what that
I would actually like to because I grew up watching like a good amount of
we
I lost
froze.
for a second.
You watched a good amount of
professional wrestling.
Yeah,
Okay.
And
as a kid.
I had a big soft spot for Kurt Angle. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, Mankind, like that entire era of professional wrestlers.
Wow. I did not know that about you. That's very fascinating to know.
I, I contain
I
multitudes,
apparently you're a layered individual.
like a parfait. Anyway, football season. Um, so interesting game for you for the Falcons this week. What are your primary takeaways from their game against the Bucks?
Yeah, so I've learned now in a little over a year of covering the Falcons that the things that I write during the game will never be published because you just never know what's going to happen at the end of the game. There were so many games that came down to the final possession last year. I think it took them until like week 5 or 6 to actually either take a lead or be in a deficit of more than one touchdown. So it was like so it's like I mean you know how it goes as a beat writer, Laura. Like these things are they're going down to the wire, and I'm hitting the delete button a lot on my MacBook. But it was a very Falcons like game where it's like you can look back at like 3 to 5 different things that if it went differently they would have won. But also they could have lost by more. It was Falcons football to the T, really. And 23-20 loss to the Bucks, obviously. Missed 44-yard field goal by Younghoe Koo, who now is kind of on the hot seat as far as his job in the kicking department. And roughing the passer against Baker Mayfield on that final drive for the Bucks, which led to the touchdown pass, which for Mayfield to Egbuka, that was the game-winning touchdown. And before that, Michael Penix Jr. had to go all stretch Armstrong, Mr. Fantastic, to get the ball over the
That was such
pylon
a sick.
for that touchdown, which was
Yeah.
like that was actually kind of insane. If you look at the photo of how far he actually was when he started that stretch. Uh, yeah, so just one of those games for the Falcons. They're 0-1. Could have been 1-0, but these things happen in the NFL.
It is interesting though because like obviously there are no moral victories when it comes to sports, but there
Yeah.
did seem to be some positive takeaways from this game, primarily Penix,
Yeah.
and just some of the way that the offense was clicking and the way that he was able to adapt as the game went on. What were the positives? And then we can go into the negatives as long as we'd like.
Yeah, I mean the Penix absolutely a positive because this is a team that he is the so Kyle Pitts has been on the team for since 2021. This is his sixth starting quarterback since he's been on the team. So, started with Matt Ryan at the end of his run with the Falcons, and then we had the Marcus Mariotas, the Desmond Ritters of the world, of course, Kirk Cousins, Taylor Heineke, for a little bit, the well-traveled Taylor Heineke, and
XFL legend Taylor Heineke?
yes. Indeed, indeed. Great guy. I love Taylor Heineke. Big fan of the Zins. He can go on for a long time about Zin.
I always
So
love when you get these little like tidbits of these players and you're like, huh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was a really fascinating quarterback room last year with Heineke and Kirk Cousins to start the season because they developed a wall of conspiracy theories in the quarterback room where they every week they would kind of add things and
Please tell us
discuss
more.
it. Yeah, I wrote a whole article about it. It was kind of hard to get it past my ESPN editor, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it was fascinating. They're
Why?
interesting characters. I wonder why. But yeah, no, Penix. Back to Penix. Yes, a bright spot for sure. He was a top 10 quarterback in QBR this week and also in uh EPA per dropback, which is all good things, if you're a stats nerd like I'm becoming in the NFL. Just a guy, and then beyond the stats, just look what he did in the fourth quarter. he didn't have any open men. He was feeling the pressure on two different plays in on at the goal line, basically. Scrambled one for a first down at the one where he stretched, and then the touchdown that he scored from 4 yards out with that incredible stretch that was just like I thought there was just no way he was going to get there. But
Mhm.
he went all Stretch Armstrong on it and scored. And those are plays that like, and I don't want to besmirch Kirk Cousins because I think he's still a good NFL quarterback, but he's just not making those plays with his feet. He just could not move last year after the Achilles, and he wasn't a very mobile quarterback even before the surgery. So Penix definitely adds something there that the Falcons have not had. So a guy that can make plays with the feet and also has like an incredible arm. His ability to get to kind of evade sacks and also like feel pressure and even get hit and able to kind of get away from the contact and still make a throw was pretty impressive because that's not something that you really, thought about him coming out of college. You thought, hey, this is a strict pocket passer, and he
Right.
kind of wants to be a pocket passer. Like that's kind of what, where he sees himself. But if the time and the situation arises, he can make plays and evade the rush with his feet and still make throws or even scramble, for touchdowns. So a guy that they really like a lot. Certainly, they think that he's their man at quarterback for the next, who knows how long. But yeah, so that's one thing, but 0-1.
Yeah. One thing I do, I kind of roll my eyes, and I've said this on this podcast before, where people talk about the intangibles, the intangibles, the intangibles about certain
Mhm.
players. But when it comes to young guys in particular, when I see that sense of resilience and adaptability as the game goes on,
Mhm.
that indicates to me something that's pretty tangible, which is a sense of maturity that you don't always find in younger players. So I think, I mean, if you look at that performance, I do see a level of maturity there that maybe, while they knew it was there, probably maybe exceeds expectations a little bit.
Yeah, and I think you're right on, Laura. I think the one thing about Penix that, aside from I mean, I think his arm is maybe as good as anyone in the NFL. Dude's just got a freaking laser. I mean, he's got a cannon. But I just think that his poise and like he's just I don't think his heart rate ever gets above like, 40 beats per minute. I mean, the dude is just like ice cold. He has no emotion when it comes to that sort of stuff. And I think that's what they like about him too, is just that the moment is never going to be too big for him. And the Falcons would like to be playing in big games in December, and beyond, potentially in January as well. And they don't think that he is going to be in any way shying away from that kind of spotlight.
That makes sense.
To infinity and beyond. Uh,
How many
Unfortunately,
also,
his name is
my heart rate is
Bijan, though,
74
not
BPM, and I'm just
Bijan.
sitting here.
Bijan.
So the
I'm
fact
sorry,
that
wait, what, Mark?
The pronunciation is Bijan, not
Bajan
Bijan.
to
Yeah,
infinity and
yeah.
Bajan. There
Jean.
we go.
But seriously, how many fantasy team names do you think make up to infinity and beyond?
Quite a few, I would say.
I would like
I
to see that.
I I would not want to speculate on how many team names are derived from the word Penix, though. Well, let's move on.
That's my problem because that's 100% the route I would go. And I apologize to everybody and anybody for my puerile sense of humor.
I would say that the Falcons probably have the best names. It's the roster with the best names in the NFL. Michael Penix is a great name. Drake London is a great name. Bijan Robinson.
You're on to something here.
They
Yeah,
have
yeah, I
they
can
have
buy
a
into that.
guy. They
Sure.
have a guy inside linebacker. His name is Divine Diablo. I
Oh,
mean,
yes,
this
Oh,
is yeah, incredible.
perfect.
all right.
We
Yeah.
got we got an Aruk Arororo on this team.
What'd
I
you just call
mean,
me?
exactly. Exactly. It is really impressive the amount of like just cool names on this team. There's a backup. He's hurt right now, but backup tackle, Storm Norton. I mean, come on, that's like 1980s WWF. Could be
Yeah.
cutting a promo after, Randy Macho Man Savage.
Those
Oh,
are
man.
some definitely elite names.
Hmm.
That's a good point. Falcons might have the best roster names in the league
I would say
currently.
so. Yes, I would agree with that.
We touched on obviously Penix being, an awesome new breath of fresh air addition to this team. Are there any other players that are kind of new or exciting that the fans should look out for this year?
So the Falcons are doing something that is rarely done in the NFL. they're going to be either starting or at least playing regularly four rookies on defense. And
Whoa.
that's just not something that happens very often. ESPN research sent me like a great stat. I don't have it in front of me, but it's going to be in a future article that I read for ESPN. But it does not happen often. Put it that way. It's not a common thing where you're playing four rookies regularly, and those four rookies are first round picks Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., and then third round pick Xavier Watts and fourth round pick Billy Bowman. So Watts and Bowman they won their jobs at safety and nickel corner coming out of training camp respectively, and they both played really, really well in week one. And I think that I think Falcons fans should be excited about what they could possibly bring to the table because that secondary was not very good last year, aside from Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell. So now they have they've kind of, I guess you can say they shored that up at least a little bit. They're going to make mistakes, right? They're rookies, but they are good players. And then, James Pierce Jr. is someone that, you know, as far as pass rushing, there may have only been like one better pure pass rusher in the draft. That was Abdul Carter, right? Which you guys know in New York. But at one point Pierce was considered even better than him, but there was some character red flags from Pierce that dropped him from people's boards. Hasn't been an issue in Atlanta so far. They love him, and I think he's going to be a very good pass rusher in the league. Didn't have any sacks on Sunday, but did have four quarterback pressures and had a pretty good pass rush win rate. Had a high PFF grade. If you all are into that type of deal.
I
Uh,
had to be.
Oh, we love some PFF around here,
yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah, and then Jalen Walker was the 15th overall pick. I think he's going to be a guy that is going to be a really good player in the NFL for a long time, but he may not. It may take him a little bit to settle in because he- from a cerebral standpoint, he's ready, but I think that he's a bit of a tweener in between like an inside linebacker and edge, a little bit too small for an edge, maybe not fast enough for an inside linebacker, but he's versatile, he's smart, and I think he's going to become a really, really solid player. He may not get there just yet, but I think he will be.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch too much of the game, but I did notice that they were able to contain the run game a little bit, where it felt like only
Yeah.
Baker was the only one really running for the first half of the
Mhm.
game. So that has to be pretty promising to be able to contain an offense like that. Just in terms of like, I know we're talking about like the young guys and the rookies, but it's also you have Raheem Morris in the second year. Like, what have you made of his kind of evolution as a coach?
Well, Raheem Morris is so interesting because he got his first head coaching job with the Bucks was so long ago, and he was so young when it happened. We're talking about like the early 20, what was it, like the 2010 or something he was with the Bucks? I'm
Which
gonna
is actually a long time ago, believe it or not.
The
I
early
know, I
aughts,
know.
yeah.
For
Was
us,
it
for us
Josh
old
Freeman was their
heads,
quarterback? God,
for
now
us
I feel
old
old.
heads, it
Now I
feels
feel
like
old.
it was so his first head coaching job was with Tampa in 2009.
Yeah, they had oh no, I don't even know if they had Josh Freeman, the franchise.
I think well, he was definitely there with Raheem at one point. I'm not sure if he was there when Morris was the head coach,
Right.
but he was the assistant coach, and Mike Tomlin was a guy that was and Tony Dungy. These are John Gruden. These were guys that were mentors. Even Herm Edwards actually, because Raheem Morris went to Hofstra. Hello, Long Island connection. How about that, right?
Hey, yeah,
The
we have a connection.
Hofstra. And when he was at Hofstra, he would always go over to Jets camp and Jets practice. And Herm Edwards was a guy that kind of took him under his wing very early on when he was still at Hofstra. He was a safety at Hofstra. So he's definitely a strange case because it's rare that you get a head coaching job so early on in your career, and then
Right.
you don't get really another one in earnest until 15 years later. That's pretty wild. So he's definitely grown a lot, I think, since then. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl with the Rams as a defensive coordinator. So we know that what he can bring to the table as a defensive mind. But what's unique about Raheem Morris is that he also coached on the other side of the ball. He was a wide receivers coach in Washington and Atlanta, also when he was on the staff the first time. And that's weird, that again, like to have a guy that's kind of like switched from offense to defense, and he's able to kind of like speak in the same language as an offensive coach and a defensive coach, and that's something that a lot of people really enjoy about him here in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins made note of that a few times last year, that he's able to kind of speak the same language as in the quarterback room that they do. That and that not many head coaches who come from a defensive background really have that. So ultimately it's a results-based business, and he has not gotten it done. They were 8-9 last year, and he didn't have any winning records with the Bucks either when he was head coach. So that's what's going to come down to. But I think everyone likes playing for him here in Atlanta. And I think if you ask around the league, and I have, like, people really like Raheem Morris as a human being. He's a nice guy. He's a great guy. But again, that doesn't always win the games, and that's going to be what it comes down to, not how cool of a hang you are, unfortunately.
I'd love to drink a beer with the guy.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, great
but is he
guy.
my head coach? Um, when you look at the rest of the division, I don't want to call it like, well, weak is a word, but none of the teams kind of stand out as like,
Yeah.
you know, top tier. So I think it's ripe for the taking. I mean, you got to feel good, I guess, if you're the Falcons. Yes, you're 0-1, but also I don't know, even if you have a 500 record, like if winning the division is ever truly out of reach. I mean, how do you feel about them stacking up comparatively to the rest of the division?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can theoretically go 10-7, maybe even 9-8 and win the division potentially. How things shake out. I do think the Bucks are still the gold standard in the division for whatever that means. It's not they're not really that far above the Falcons. Falcons beat them twice last year. So and they all, it was a very close game on Sunday. But I think it's the Bucks and the Falcons. I think the Saints are kind of in like a weird like rebuild, but not really. They're kind of in denial about rebuilding, but they're in a
It's
rebuild.
just
It's kind of weird.
depressing. It's just
Yeah,
depressing.
they're in a weird state, and then I think Carolina could be better than they were last year, but by how much I don't know. They didn't look incredible on Sunday, honestly. So the Falcons got to take care of business against both those teams. Like if they can sweep the series, they won't against New Orleans because that's just the rivalry. I mean, they never sweep New Orleans. They would love to sweep Carolina. Even if they go 3-1 against those teams, that's nice. But the Falcons have a really hard start to the season, and it started on Sunday, and it continues in Minnesota this weekend. They're on the road against Carolina, which might end up being kind of like a must win in week three. I mean, as much of a must win that week three can really be. And then, Washington is here in week four. They have a bye. And then after the bye, it's at home, Monday Night Football against Buffalo. And
Ooh,
then they go, and then a short week.
Ow.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football, short week again on the road against the Niners. So the first six games are treacherous. And I think that,
man.
man, if they go 3-3, I think that they would be elated to go 3-3. I could see a 2-4. I don't want to say 1-5 with Carolina being the only one, but it's a really tough slate. The good news is that they have some games coming up after that from like weeks 9 to 13 that get a little bit easier, but nothing's easy in the NFL, so that's why you have to kind of that's why, losing that game on Sunday is so heartbreaking because it's like if a win is out there for you and you don't execute it, it's gonna hurt you to the end of the season. It just is. It doesn't matter if it's week one. It's a short season.
Yeah, and
What
I especially think when you're fielding that many rookies, the idea of going off to a slow start can be a little bit psychologically troubling.
Yeah, and you could say Penix is like he's not a rookie, but he's like a rookie point five. He only had
Yeah.
three starts last year, so he's kind of a rookie also. So they are depending. They have young players in very crucial spots.
what did the Falcons do in the past life to deserve such a harsh treatment today?
I
Oh,
mean, 28-3.
Right, right. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
one
This
after
is a
the
fan. This
other
is a
after
fan
the
base that
other.
like you can't even. I mean, it's really difficult with this. They're traumatized.
yeah,
Right.
I do have a question
These
because
fans
I
are
feel
traumatized. There was a thing in the preseason and training camp this year, or it might have been in the spring, I forget. And the Falcons social media posted two players, and the two players were Jesse Bates, who wears number 3, and it was number 28, Mike Ford. And they posted them together, not realizing
no.
they're both secondary guys. They're both defensive backs.
That's a fireable
And then
offense.
and then yeah, and then the fan base was like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this?" and they
So
didn't realize, they didn't
I mean,
realize.
I guess you can't live in the past, but we also have to
Yeah.
learn from it too.
You can't live in
So,
the past, but the fact is that they have not made the playoffs since 2017, and they have not had a winning record since 2017. The only
wow.
team with a longer playoff drought in the NFL is the New York Football Jets.
Ah,
whoa,
Yeah,
there's some good
hey,
trivia for you.
Justin Fields apparently can play football.
apparently.
Yeah,
Apparently.
yeah. Let's talk some. I guess, general. Were you able to catch most of the games, Mark, on Sunday, or were you just locked into the Falcons?
I caught. Nah, I know. I mean,
Okay,
I didn't get home
appreciate the honest
when I
answer.
got home the when I got home on Sunday, the late games were already kind of ending, and I did not. I went to sleep before the night game.
Wait,
Yeah.
here's a question: Is the
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A open at the stadium on Sundays?
no,
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 Okay, what are we
no.
doing?
Any stadium.
no. And what's unfortunate is we get Chick-fil-A in the press box at halftime, but not on Sunday. So if it's a Monday night game or a Thursday game, we will get the Chick-fil-A. But Sunday game, no.
That's just
Wow, it's fascinating. It is
Trust.
fascinating. I remember when when the news first broke that, oh, like the stadium's getting a Chick-fil-A, and everyone's like, but we play on Sundays, and that's like the only franchise that's closed
Well,
on Sunday.
Atlanta United plays in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and they're
Fair.
more popular MLS teams, and then they have a lot of concerts and whatnot. But it is unfortunate that Chick-fil-A is not Jewish, because
yeah.
it would have been fine. It would have been
It just
fine.
closed on Fridays.
Yeah, like Friday night, Saturday morning, they're closed, but Sundays for we're good.
I,
I discovered this recently. I'm allergic to peanut butter or
Oh, I'm
peanuts
very sorry
rather.
to hear that.
But the last time I went through the drive-through, it says in fine print on the bottom of the menu, the chicken is cooked in refined peanut oil.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
you,
I've eaten it several times before, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm alive and well here. So I looked it up, but apparently, if you refine the peanut oil, obviously, like burn it to a high enough temperature, the allergens get burnt out of it.
Okay.
So for the listeners out there, this is some science talk away from football, but yeah, evidently if you're allergic to peanuts, you can still have Chick-fil-A. Five Guys, I'm still not going to attempt because they have literally like peanuts in the store. They have like bags of peanuts everywhere. But yeah, just a pro tip out there for Chick-fil-A fans.
That's a
oh,
tough life being allergic to peanuts and peanut butter.
I can't miss what you never had, so
Fair enough.
I did have to. I was in grade school. I was like separated from everyone at lunch.
oh yeah, you're one of those
Yeah, I
freaks.
was. Yeah, I had to sit at another table with people who had to volunteer to eat lunch with me. So that was exciting.
Wow. Sorry to
I'm
hear
not,
that.
yeah, I'm
It's
not
why it's
Are you okay? Do you want to talk? Do you want
no.
to
I mean, yeah, we're here. Why don't
off
we air
air?
it out? It's okay to not be okay, guys.
I know. This podcast is
That goes
designed.
for most Falcons fans. It's okay to not be okay. To
Okay,
bring it full
so
circle.
It's okay to be a Falcons fan if you're allergic because they actually run more on Penix oil than peanut oil. So,
But
oh,
undone.
look at
Got it.
and I'm done. I'm good.
that.
Yeah, I don't know if we can get any better than that. Mark, predictions for the rest of the season, other than, yeah, like I guess we got up to week 6. What's the rest of the schedule looking like?
So after week 9, there's a nice. And again, these are NFL teams, and
Any
they're gonna
given
try to
Sunday.
win,
Yeah.
But there's the Jets in there, there's the Saints in there, there's the Colts, there's the Dolphins who did not look very good on Sunday.
19 yards,
Um,
baby.
there's a 5 game stretch where the Falcons could go like 4-1, or the Pats are in there, like 4-0, 4-1, 5-0. They need to get to that stretch and play really well. Like if they're peaking in that stretch, I think they can still, make noise as far as the playoffs. But yeah, the first 6 games are tough for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
Gotcha.
pour
Right
one
on.
out for the poor Falcons fans. I was watching this TikTok of like diagnosing every fan base with some sort of illness, and I believe Falcons fans came in with PTSD. So,
Yeah, that's I really learned like it's weird because like I'm a Mets fan, so I can almost like see it.
oh yeah, I know
I
that
can relate.
definitely. Actually, there was this thing that came out because the Mets are in a precarious position right now, and there was this graphic of who they were going to play next, and it was like Padres, Rangers, San Diego, but it was
Mhm.
only the logo, so it spelled out PTSD,
Oh
and
yeah.
basically lost its mind.
Yeah, no, that's right. No,
I
that's right. I mean, when September comes, like Mets fans get a little like a little like it's not a good time, you know.
You're testy in my mentions right now.
I mean, I believe it. Falcons fans are too. I mean,
It's week one.
it took. I mean, it was like the first quarter of week one, and people were like, "This team sucks." I'm like, give it a minute.
Well,
Like,
that's like the
like they're up 7-0. Like, give it a second. Jesus.
No.
the
Yeah.
the JJ McCarthy like chatter last night. I don't know if you
Yeah.
watched Monday Night Football, but
Yeah.
I mean, they looked awful
Yeah.
in the first half, and then there
Yeah.
was like a Freaky Friday situation where they essentially like, well, they made adjustments at the halftime, and the Bears did not, and that showed on the field where
Yeah. Kevin
then the second
O'Connell
half,
is
JJ McCarthy
incredible.
looked awesome, and then Caleb Williams looked terrible.
Yeah.
That's football.
I guess so.
We won't know what any of these teams are until like week five, week six. I mean, we're just not going to know anything about. I mean, last year the Saints looked like they were going to play in the freaking Super Bowl the first, 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, putting up
And
like 500 points or whatever it was.
yeah, like
Yeah.
Derek Carr was freaking balling out. Rashid Shaheed was like on everyone's waiver,
Yeah.
and
Scooping
yeah,
up off the waiver wire.
it didn't work out that way, right? So injuries will happen, it's the NFL,
Absolutely.
wild world.
All right. And now, Mark, before we let you go, could you tell me a little bit about your book? I do want to hear more about it because
Yeah.
that looks awesome.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to sell it on you in particular, Laura,
Please do.
since you're a lapsed fan.
I
So
am a Labs fan, but just because I don't have time.
that's okay, and that's completely fine. Hopefully, I mean, you're on the road a lot, so I think you have
Yeah.
time maybe on plane to read a book, maybe a
Yes.
Kindle situation.
I
So
do, in fact, yes, I can. I do read a lot more now, so
there you
I got
go. There you go. So, I think this book is actually ideal for a lapsed fan, someone who was watching like in the 90s or 2000s and has not picked up the product in a very long time because I mean I tried to write it as accessible as possible for even non-fans. So I explained a lot of stuff that I was talking about because wrestling has all these like insider terms that would not make sense to the layman. So I tried to kind of lay out what some of this stuff means and also the importance of it as far as the psychology of wrestling, like what's a baby face and a heel and that type of deal, right? And what is their what
I
is their
still use that
goal?
stuff in my baseball writing, and then I'm like, do people know what this is?
What I love about wrestling, and I think that as things move on, and it's kind of one of the themes of the book, is that some of the wrestling stuff has become more mainstream. Like everyone knows what turning heel is. Like that's kind of like part of like parlance now. It's kind of part of like the colloquialisms of the United States, and I would argue that, and I did argue that it all started like in the 90s with that big boom period started by the NWO in 96 when Hulk Hogan turned heel and became the bad guy, and that was such a like formative time in the 90s. Like I think you're pretty young, Cole, right? How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
I don't know. You're not as old as me.
I hate when people say that.
I'm 34.
Okay, you're 34. Okay, so you probably don't remember the 90s wrestling too much, right?
I was obsessed with Kane and Undertaker, and
Okay.
particularly that storyline. I
So
dressed up as
that's like
Kane.
98, 99.
Yeah, I dressed up as Kane for
Okay.
Halloween once. It was awesome.
That's incredible. I
Yeah.
love that. So yeah, so the kind of hypothesis of the entire book is that there were so many people watching wrestling during that time, which was started by the NWO. So it was like the NWO, then it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Kane, Cole's favorite wrestler, Mankind, Laura's favorite wrestler, right? These are all 90s products. And it was
By the
like
way, for both of us, that
and it
mankind.
was like and what was going on with wrestling was like right in like parallel to what was going on in greater American like pop culture and culture in general. So like the 80s were like a very like innocent, like naive time, like flowers and rainbows and shit. And can I curse? I don't even know if I can curse on here, but I just did.
Bring it.
Uh and then the 90s happened, then all of a sudden like
We're in the Attitude Era.
well, yeah, because that was what was going on in the world. Like I remember being a kid in 95, and I think I was like 10 in 95, and I'm sitting at home in the summer watching Court TV, the O.J. Simpson trial with my mom. And I'm 10 years old and I'm watching a double homicide trial, involving one of the biggest sports names ever. And it's like these are things that a 10-year-old like this is like what the hell? This is a double murder. It's a very like adult theme, right? But that's what was going on in the 90s. Like everything kind of like lost
OJ
its
Simpson,
innocence.
the Bills running back,
That's correct. That
the
guy.
same one?
That guy. Yeah, the juice.
Epstein, the financier?
The juice. Yeah, might have killed two people. Might have unalived them as the kids say today on
Oh,
TikTok.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
Yeah,
Unalive them. Oh my word.
allegedly unalived two people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're the Menendez, brothers
No, no,
trial.
no, for
Like
sure. Like,
that was on. You could watch that. Let's like reality television. You could put that
yeah.
on every day, and it's
Yeah.
like,
I see. I get, yeah, the parallels that you're talking
yeah.
about for sure.
And everything was just changing. Musically things were changing. It was no longer, like New Kids on the Block hit in the very early 90s, very poppy time. And then before that was kind of like the power ballads of the 80s. And then by the mid 90s, it was like Nirvana and
Yeah.
gangster rap. It was
Guns N' Roses,
NWA. It
Nine Inch
was
Nails, Smashing Pumpkins.
Pearl Jam. Yeah, I mean it was
Chili
it changed a
Peppers.
lot. For me it was like more of like, the pop punk like stuff, the emo stuff, like as a Queens kid. I don't know why I was into that, but uh,
Tonight. Gotta love that stuff.
it was just a changing time, and like the NWO was like right there at the forefront of that. The villains became the protagonists, the anti-heroes became the protagonists, and it led to this period where in 98 and 99, more than 10 million people combined were watching wrestling on television on Monday
Mm.
nights between the two shows, Raw and Nitro. And that cut into the audience of Monday Night Football. Like that's crazy. Like they had like a 10% deficit in their audience because of wrestling in 98 and 99 Monday
Mm.
Night Football, which is like unheard of like today, right? Because Monday Night Football is a friggin' institution,
Yeah.
um, and it's a fixture. But that's what was going on in the 90s, and wrestling was really pushing the envelope of the edginess, and it was right there with like the Jerry Springers and like some of like I would argue that like there was the real world in the early 90s, but like before Survivor and like Big Brother, wrestling was kind of like a reality television, and Jerry
Mhm.
Springer was kind of like reality television, but it's not, it's reality, but none of these things are actually real, kind of like wrestling. They're not
Produced
actually real.
reality.
Yeah, it's staged reality, right?
Yeah.
Staged reality.
I
So
was
that's
like,
what the book is about.
Nice.
Book is about, the changing of the times in the 90s and how wrestling was right there at the forefront of it. And so many people were watching wrestling then that now we've all grown up and we're in the world and we brought wrestling with us. Like when Laura writes about baby faces and heels when she's covering the Mets. And
huh.
uh, all these people have grown up, and now we're doing whatever we're doing in the world. And we were all wrestling fans back then and we brought it with us. And that's how wrestling shapes society, because how do you shape society and culture? You shape the people in the society and the culture, and that's kind of what happened here. And I interviewed a bunch of like sociologists and college professors.
Oh,
Interviewed
cool.
Andrew Yang, the presidential candidate, about that because he was a wrestling fan in that time period, and he brought that with him when he was on the campaign trail trying to cut wrestling promos like in front of crowds, and understanding Trump on a different level because Trump is basically like just a pro wrestling character, on as the
That makes
president.
perfect
I mean,
sense.
didn't he
Oh my
get
God.
he get Trump got like stone cold stunned once, right?
He absolutely did. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was involved in many. I mean, he was involved in wrestling going back to the 80s, and then he was involved with wrestling like in the 2000s. Like he did a few like storylines with Vince McMahon, WrestleMania. Yeah, I mean, but he has learned a lot from wrestling, and you could tell, these speeches, these campaign, whatever that I don't even know, they're not campaign speeches anymore. These rallies, and people are chanting and they're bringing signs. It's just pro
Oh my
wrestling.
God. It
Wow.
reminds me of when The
Yeah.
Rock would take like the microphone and like
Yeah.
just start like
Yeah.
pontificating.
Yeah, and he just insults all of his like it's just a wrestling promo. He's insulting he's coming up with these nicknames, and it's just wrestling.
You're
It's just
so
pro
right.
wrestling.
And my God, how much sense that makes.
Yeah, it's
Put
like
into our minds.
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
yeah,
it's your book really well. I'm definitely gonna read
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm gonna snag a copy for sure, dude.
like
If for nothing
Andrew
else.
Andrew Yang literally said that he's like I understood Trump better because I was a wrestling fan, and others should definitely become wrestling fans in the political world because they would understand it better. What people want, playing to the crowd, getting a crowd, like manipulating a crowd, because that's what wrestling really is. Like, the way they can go up there and with a microphone or even just with their mannerisms and their gestures and their physical charisma to manipulate what the crowd is doing. Like that's a very powerful thing that people dismiss wrestling as like, oh, it's silly, it's for kids, it's fake. I mean, it has created the person who's the president of the United States, and it has created so many people in prominent positions. Bad Bunny is one of the biggest artists, and he's a huge wrestling fan, right? The Rock, he's probably the most recognizable person in the world, right? I mean, he's just a massive star, highest paid actor in Hollywood, comes from wrestling, right? Every genre has like these people, that are big into wrestling. Juan Soto's been doing the John Cena.
I was gonna say, yeah,
He's
he's
been
been doing
doing
Cena. And
Wrestling is everywhere,
Caitlin
and
Clark
people
did
don't even
that. Angel
realize it.
Reese did it back to her.
now I'm wondering, like, what wrestler is Gavin Newsom? Is he like Chris Jericho? Like, where would you type him?
Oh my God. But yeah, he's going. Yeah, now you have to meet the moment, and
Mhm.
he's trying to do that now with this stuff. And yeah, he's trying to bring in like this over the top, like ridiculous, like satirical pro wrestling
Yeah.
persona
Triple H.
to social media. I don't know if I would compare him to. I haven't thought that much about comparing him to anyone,
This is
but
what I'm going to be doing the rest of the day. I'm just going to go through
yeah.
politicians and see if I can find their one for one wrestler.
See, people that are Trump supporters, they think that he's like Stone Cold, that he's like the anti-hero, that he has their backs, like he's like it doesn't make any sense. I don't want to get political on this lovely show with y'all,
No,
but
but I get what you're saying.
yeah,
Keep it
Yeah.
but
rolling.
his followers, they see this guy is a badass, like he is a guy, and he's doing like bad things, but he's doing them in a righteous way, like for us, and that's how they view him, and that's what Stone Cold
316,
was.
baby. He's doing it.
He's
I
doing it.
will,
Trump 316.
I, I will say that the Hardy Boys came to Citi Field a few weeks ago, and it was the
Yeah.
first day I wasn't there. And like,
Uh,
I can't believe I wasn't there. It's like Degeneration X. I can't believe this. So,
it's
alas.
fun. It's funny what like wrestling can do to like adults because to take you behind the curtain a little bit, the Falcons offensive line coach Dwayne Ledford, tremendous guy, great coach. They've had a good O line for forever. Um, he's a big wrestling fan. And he was as a kid. Now he still watches with his sons, and they go to shows and everything. So Goldberg he played for the Georgia Bulldogs, right? Which is pretty much the team in Georgia. If I'm being honest, like that is the number one football team in Georgia is UGA. And then he played a little bit for the Falcons, and he's still involved as kind of like an ambassador with the Falcons. Goldberg, they have him like in their trailer before games, like their preview before games.
Oh,
But he was
cool.
at a game like a couple of years ago, and and the O-line coach walks by him like as like he's going to coach, and Goldberg leaving to go wherever, and the O-line coach is like, I got to stop and go back and get he's getting ready for an NFL game, right? And he's got like I gotta go and get it. I mean,
Priorities.
it's Goldberg. I mean, I gotta go
Yeah.
get a photo, and he did. He got a photo with Goldberg.
I'm not going to not say hello.
He's like that's Goldberg. Like what do I? Yeah, I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Well,
Laura, any last questions?
I mean,
no, but I do.
Tyrese Halliburton is wearing like the DX like sneakers. Joel Embiid is doing like the crotch top. I mean, everything's the '90s again anyway. So might as well pick
Everyone's
up
a
this
crotch
book
shot.
and
X-Pac. Man,
I,
what a
I
time.
actually,
What a time to be alive.
I actually would do like the crop shop, and my boyfriend at the time was like, "What are you doing? What is this? You're a grown
yeah,
adult woman."
my wife hates it, and I still do it pretty regularly.
I think I remember
She,
like several kids getting detention in grade school for doing it.
yeah, yeah. There's
But we
there was
felt
a
rebellious. We felt rebellious, and that's what it was all
All
there was
right.
about.
a I got an anecdote in the book where like I think like a 4-year-old like spray painted NWO and his like 1-year-old brother.
Oh,
And it was a
wow.
spray paint NWO.
Oh
And like the
my.
woman called like WCW and like was angry, like I can't what are you guys doing? What are you putting on TV? Great time.
That is amazing. I guess I don't know why this question came to me, but my last question, Mark,
Yeah.
who had a better movie career, Hulk Hogan or Kevin Nash? Just because they're on the cover of your book.
I would say that Hulk Hogan was more prolific, but I think that Kevin Nash probably, in the small amount that he did, I kind of had more memorable roles. I mean, Magic Mike, right? That was
Yeah,
pretty
The
played the
Punisher, he was the
played
big
the
Russian
Super
guy.
Shredder,
The Longest Yard, he was great in that.
Longest Yard. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, he chose more interesting. He was the more artistic auteur.
I think he's a better actor than Hulk Hogan, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I think he
fair
is.
enough. Mark, where can the good people find you?
Uh, on X, on Twitter, whatever the hell it's called now, at Marc Raimondi, MarcRaimondi, and then the same thing on Instagram, but with sports at the end.
That
So
makes
Love it.
sense. And
Love
guys,
it.
please,
Buy his book.
it's called
Yes,
Say Hello to the Bad Guys. And again, it's about the New World Order. And it sounds really cool. And I'm probably going to pick it up for my Amtrak ride. So thanks a lot.
I love that endorsement. Thanks, Laura. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mark.